Age-old question still persists. Who truly has it harder? Men or women? We're going to find out today. Let's just get right into it. Here we go up and... Oh,
I just don't think I have it in me
goodness.
To try to help society understand how we treat men is like so dangerous to men. Because...
And keep in mind, just to put into context, this is a trans man. So what I assume by that title is he was once a woman and he converted to a man. So
nobody told me how lonely being a man is. And then to have all these comments about, like justifying the coldness to men, which is valid.
wait, what did he say? Justifying the what to men? Justifying the coldness to men, huh? Which is valid. Let's roll this beautiful bean footage. Huh.
But to just be remembered like, oh, that's right. Everybody just sees you as the villain. But to have known...
And I don't know, man. I have a very hard time believing... correct me if I'm wrong. A trans man is when someone, converts from a woman to a man, right? Or... Because I just have a hard time believing that this guy was once a woman. I just have a really hard time believing that. Here, you know what? Let's do a Google search together. Trans woman meaning. A transgender woman lives as a woman today but was thought to be male when she was born. What? A transgender man lives as a man today but was thought to be female when he was born. Okay, and this is a trans man. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? That's interesting. I just have a hard time believing that, like, does this guy seem like he was ever a woman? Like, how is that possible? How the fuck is he going to, I know you can just inject testosterone, but like, damn, bro, we in some different times, man. You could literally just like, how? All right.
Before we transitioned, we knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us. And to have people want to talk to us. And to have a community. And then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you. And friendships are so much harder to build. And people are colder. I joke that I had closer friendships with random women I met in the bathroom before I transitioned at clubs because of how open women are than I've had in my 8 years of transitioning. Because women are just so much more vulnerable and deep than men. And what's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid. But
Alright, the only thing valid about this guy actually being a trans man is how much he's fucking crying. Like, that's kind of a giveaway. Because, I mean, every guy fucking cries. You've cried before, I've cried before, bro. But, like, this is a little OD, so, there is a possibility that he was once a woman.
I now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men. Because this shit is lonely. And I'm an emotionally mature man. I know how to build friendships, and it is still really, really hard.
I am a transgendered woman. I go by she, her, they, them pronouns. And
so she transitioned from a man to a woman. Okay.
I can tell you right now, my period I experience every month is very real, very valid, and very painful. But you know what? You go ahead and keep invalidating trans women. You go ahead and keep telling them that their experience is not real. I'm here to tell you the real facts. Trans women experience menstrual cycles. Not all of us, Oh no, not all of us. No. Some of us are lucky and don't have to go through it. And then some of us, like myself, go through it every month. Every month. The cramps, the bloating, the fatigue, the nausea, all of it. The only thing I don't get is a menstrual cycle. I don't bleed. That's the only difference.
I think the really crappy thing about having a period every month is that, like, I have to experience.
All right, we kind of get a little ahead of ourselves with this. Let's just get into these comments. Women really don't understand this concept. My wife tells me all the time about encounters at a store, people being nice to her or offering to help with something. At the age of 32, I've literally never had someone randomly approach me in public just to be nice or help me in some way. That's not a thing for men. I work with women who'd say, "Oh, those guys are so nice, you'll love them," only to show up and be met with extreme coldness that I have to break through every time. And I'm not complaining, but it's frustrating to listen to women claim men have it so easy in life and have privilege. They have no idea. When they try it out for themselves, they hate it. 100%. Bro just describing everyday life as a man and has a mental breakdown. What did he expect? I red carpet because he's on the privileged side now. Get used to it, brother, because all this intensifies as you age. That's a fact, bro. It really don't get easier as you age, bro. For real, for real. You must have missed the small print that says at the bottom of the man's birth certificate, "Suck it up, buttercup." 100%, man. Being a man is incredibly lonely. I have very few friends. On a daily basis, when I try to be nice to strangers, I get strange looks and cold shoulders. I'm used to it, but it's also a shame to assume just because I'm a man, I can't be trusted. Which is really ironic because really at the end of the day, like, men aren't even like deceptive like that really in nature. It's really women, so that's just kind of fucking hilarious. But anyways, what happened to the white male privilege argument? That flew out the window real quick. Facts, though. They're always talking about how privileged men are, but quickly find out nobody gives a fuck when you're a guy. Real rap. I mean, it doesn't get much realer than that, but let's just roll this next beautiful bean footage. Previous females, now male, explain life isn't better as a man, it's much harder.
I've been trying to do a little bit more serious stuff just because, it's important that we talk about kind of guys' stuff and men's issues. And it's always fun to poke fun of some of the articles that I come across that has women complaining about something or another. But this is an interesting story because I actually came across a thread in the men's rights forum on Reddit. And I don't spend much time there anymore. But this was a link, and I looked at the profile, and it's legit. It's not someone trolling or anything like that. And it's their experience being taking a transition from being a woman to a man. It's their life as a man and what they've seen the difference is. And, it's the old expression is you've never known someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. And this is interesting because now it is a woman literally living life as a man and seeing what it's like. And they do say that there's a difference, and they're surprised how alone they feel in many cases and how outside they feel. Let's get recording, and then we'll talk about it. So this is from the Men's Rights Forum on Reddit. And it says, are men treated better than women? And here's a transitioned man's point of view. I've always thought that sexism, be it misogyny or misandry, can be understood through experience. I'm a transitioned man, which means I have experienced both being perceived as a woman and being a man by society. So here's my experience and the reason I'm an MRA. So this is a woman that became a man and then said, "Well, I'm really interested to hear, but
I'm interested to hear this. I'm sure you guys are too."
Female to male. I spent the first 18 years of my life as a girl woman, and these last 2 as a man. My experiences as a woman. The good. Most people treated me very well. Those who didn't mistreated me because I'm autistic, not because I was a girl. I was never made to feel bad whenever I asked for help. People were happy to help me. Guys were happy to help me with emotional issues particularly. Whenever I was having a bad day, they were happy to talk to me and keep me company. These, traditionally, these are guys that would be interested in the girl if they remain just friends without any romantic attraction. Not always, but traditionally. Overall, my mental health and well-being was taken more seriously. Additionally, it was easier to make friends. From what I can tell, others just felt more comfortable around me and felt safer sharing their problems with me. Guys do not share problems with women, or they shouldn't, in just about any situation. Now, you can share it with your guy friends, but even then, it's just not. Nobody likes an emotional need.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a difference between being emotional and needy, but you can definitely have that. Those brothers. You can definitely speak your mind to those brothers and stuff. But they understand it. They understand the male experience. They'll understand you, right? But you can't do that shit with women because women have this. You know what's crazy? No one says guys are weak more than women. No one says guys aren't acting like real men more than women. Yet they've never even lived a single day as a man to even know what a real man is, or to even have the dick and balls of a man. So it's pretty crazy to me, man. But let's continue to roll this beautiful bean footage.
Man, it makes people uncomfortable. Is that societal? Is that something that's in our genetics? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I do know, as a guy, you don't want to be perceived as being.
Oh, and that's another thing. I missed that other point. And yeah, you do not want to you don't want to open up to women, bro, because they just end up using that shit against you, bro. Like, they say they want someone who's willing to open up. No, the fuck they don't, bro. They just use it against you, and they see you as less than after that point, bro. It just is what it is. I don't know if it's like he was saying, like culturally, societal norms, or it's just hardwired in their DNA. But
weak. The last thing, and I won't mention the YouTuber, but there was a YouTuber that traditionally had a large number of views on their video, and in one they were talking about something and having a hard moment, and they cried a little bit, and they got made fun of, and this is from their own fans. So it's one of those situations as a man you just cannot expect to share your emotions. And is that right? No, but that again is whether that's societal or whatever it is, I don't know. Okay, so the experiences as a man, the good. Socially, nothing really improved. I hear some people say that men are taken more seriously with certain things, especially when it comes to the workplace, but at my work, men and women are treated the same. I feel more confident now, but that's because of my dysphoria has lessened considerably. The bad. I don't feel comfortable asking for help anymore, especially when it comes to mental things. Wherever or whenever I do, people are less enthusiastic about helping me. I've also seen a decrease in the quality of help I receive. I also find that it's harder to talk to people. It's like they just aren't as comfortable around me and don't trust me as much. It's hard to make friends compared to a few years ago. People overall treat me neutrally and sometimes slightly negatively. I've noticed strangers are more wary around me. Nothing like pulling their kids away or clutching their purses harder, but they tend to stay further distance away and don't make eye contact with me as often. Not that I mind, but it's something I've noticed. Final thoughts. It was a jarring experience. I went from being treated like how a person should be treated, trusted, listened to, etc., to being treated, well, like a man. In my experience, I've been treated far worse as a man, and I by no means regret the transitioning in any way, but I really wish someone would have prepared me for this. And then I have one more article I'm going to move over to, but I wanted to touch on this because so many times it seems that people can understand what everybody goes through, and that's not the way it is. And especially with for some reason, the big theme of the girl power movement is that men have it easy, and men are the ones in charge, and men have all the power. But the truth of it is, the reason why oftentimes men are very successful in work and are financially more secure is because they don't have a good social life. And if you are a little bit awkward or you're not good at making friends, many men decide to dive into their work and at least to make more money so they can find other ways.
Look, life is to cope, bro, and one of the best ways to cope is just to cope with success and just to lock in. I'm guilty as charged. I am a workaholic coper. Because at the end of the day, like, what else am I gonna do, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know how this shit is. As a man, no one's gonna ever care about your problems. Except maybe your mom, and she might even think you a little soft. But and your pops too, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like outside of immediate family, like no one's really gonna care like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I don't know what in a woman's mind believes in this day and age today, women having all their rights and whatnot. Why women think that men still have it easier? I mean, if you took the average girl and put her in a man's shoes for a week, she would definitely want to switch back to a woman ASAP.
to make them happy. And I don't think women do that as much. They're much more socially inclined. There's case study after case study after case study showing how men are more solitary and women enjoy the more group dynamics. It's why men can work alone and do jobs like security guards or so on and so forth. They can do many, many jobs where they can work alone and they're fine being alone, living alone, etc., where women don't. And that's just the dynamics of I believe, genetics and society. This other article here is from the Washington Post, and this was done a couple years ago. And it's called Crossing the Divide. And kind of the same thing. These are stories from women that became men, and they found out, well, things are a little bit more complex. Let me get right down to where they start talking about it here. So this is from Tristan Cotton, and this is someone who's 50 now that did their transition. And they did it back in 2008, so about 10 years ago. So around the age of 40, this woman decided to become a guy. It says, life doesn't get easier as an African-American male. The way that police officers deal with me, the way that racism undermines my ability to feel safe in the world, affects my mobility, affects where I go. Other African-American and Latino Americans grew up as boys and were taught to deal with that at an earlier age. I had to learn from my black and brown brothers about how to stay alive in my new body and retain some dignity while being demeaned by the cops. Now, I don't know, let's see, they're in Berkeley, California. You know, and Berkeley is a very, very left-leaning, very liberal area, so I'm surprised, shocking, that they would be harassed and treated by, cops poorly. I'd think that only would happen in the South or someplace that was truly bad. One night, somebody crashed a car into my neighbor's house. I called 911. I walked out to talk to the police officer. He pulls a weapon on me and says, stop, get on the ground. I turned around to see if there's someone behind me, and he says, you get on the ground. I'm in pajamas and barefoot. I get on the ground, he checks me, and afterwards I said, what was that all about? He says, you were moving kind of funny. Later, people told me, man, you're crazy. You never call the police. I get pulled over a lot more now. I get pulled over more in the first 2 years after my transition than I did the entire 20 years I was driving as a woman before that. Before, when I'd been stopped even for real life violations like driving...
You can't make this shit up, bro. You can't make this shit up, bro. Like, any girl that's over here trying to talk and yap and say that men have easier lives, this is tripping. Overall, if I'm going to keep it $150 with you, I think men overall have higher ability to make an impact in the world than women. If that's what you mean by easier lives. I think men overall built everything that you claim that you don't need men for. If, that rings a bell. Everything that you use on a day-to-day basis probably was built by men. So I think men have a greater overall ability to manipulate and to create in this universe, ultimately. But easier life, and keep in mind, it's only that's the top few percent of men that really are doing all these things, right? The conventions and stuff, and being like fucking CEOs and all that stuff. But the vast majority of men easily have harder lives just simply because they're a man. Oops.
In fact, when it happened in Atlanta, the officer and I got into a great conversation about the Braves. Now the first two questions they ask are, do you have any weapons in the car, and am I on parole or probation? And this is a picture of him here, and you can see he's gone bald, and he's got the full body tats. A couple years after my transition, I had a grad student I'd been mentoring. She started coming on to me, stalking me, sending me emails and text. Oh, but I thought only men did that to women. It couldn't be that a female student would do that to a male professor. Shocking. My advisor and then dean, both women, laughed it off. It went on for the better part of a year, and that was the year I was going up for tenure. It was a very scary time. I felt worried that if the student felt that I was not returning her attentions, she would claim that I had done bad things to her. I felt like, as a guy, I was not taken seriously. I had experienced...
Da-da-da, da-da, da-da. Pretty much. That's pretty much how it is. As a guy, you aren't not taken seriously. You're seen as this little toy to play with, essentially. And you know that just because you're a woman and you're fucking with a guy, more often than not, they're going to think that you, the one fucking with the guy, as the woman, is the victim, and the guy is actually the suspect. So that's really how that should be going, man.
being harassed as a female person at another university, and they had reacted immediately, sending an escort with me to and from campus. I felt like I had still been in my old body. I would have gotten a lot more support. Let me move on to another story here. This is Xander Keeg, 52, who did the switch in 2005, so about 13 years ago. Put him right around 40 years old again. He says, I feel it now feels as though I'm on my own. Coast Guard veteran, works at Naval Medical Center. He says, prior to my transition, I was an outspoken radical feminist. I spoke up often, loudly, and with confidence. I was encouraged to speak up. I was given awards for my efforts, literally. It was like, oh yeah, speak up, speak out. When I speak up now, I am often given the direct or indirect message that I am mansplaining, taking up too much space, or asserting my white male heterosexual privilege. Never mind that I'm a first-generation Mexican-American, as a transitioned man and married to the same woman I was with prior to my transition. This is important because it shows you that here, before, she was a very proud supporter of women's movement, a very proud supporter of women's issues. Then, becoming a man, he still wanted to support all these issues, still wanted to support these things, and they basically told him to shut up. You don't know what it's like. But he did know what it was like, or at least he used to know what it was like. And he's Latino, a Mexican-American, and now they basically told him, shut up, white boy. See, it's interesting how now supposedly he should have all the power because now he's a white guy, right? He should be able to control the system because that's what we do, right? Patriarchy, and we control the system when we have all the power. But all of a sudden he said, holy cow, I have zero power. I can't speak about lots of things. I'm basically told to shut up. It's wild. Interesting how, again, you don't see this until you're actually in the shoes, and then you kind of say, oh, this isn't quite what I expected it to be. I find the assertion that I am now unable to speak on issues I find important offensive, and I refuse to allow anyone to silence me. My ability to empathize has grown exponentially because now I factor men into my thinking and feel about their situations. Prior to it, I rarely considered how men experienced life or what they thought, wanted, or liked about their lives. I have learned...
I mean, yeah, when you really think about what the shit that women be saying and the way women be even treating a lot of men, I mean, it's just like, yeah. I mean, the math is mathing.
So much about the lives of men through my friendships with men, reading books and articles, and for men, and through men, I served as a licensed clinical social worker. I find this so fascinating. Here, he even says that when he was he never ever thought about what men needed, what they thought about, what they considered. I didn't think about their life experiences. I didn't really give them any thought at all. I didn't care about them. Yet these are the same ones that are screaming to the high heavens, equality, we want equality, we want equality. Well, how do you want equality when you don't even think about the person you're supposedly trying to be equal to? No, it's all about superiority, dominating, and improving oneself, not really caring about the other person. And obviously he finds out a little too late. Plenty of research shows that life events, medical conditions, and family circumstances impact men and women differently. But when I would suggest that patient behavioral issues like anger or violence may be a symptom of trauma or depression, it was often get dismissed or outright challenged. The overarching theme was men are violent. And there was
All right. I mean, we get the gist. Let's see what these comments is talking about, man. Eesh. Nobody wants to hear about a man's problems, only his solutions. 1,000 women get lonely. Society, oh my God, are you okay? Have you ate? You need company? Men get lonely. Society, crickets. Makes sense. Dumped my girlfriend because she matched with a rich guy on Tinder. After her friends encouraged her. Later, I learned this guy used her for one night, then ghosted her. Then she came to my door, tears on her face, apologizing profusely. I laughed and closed the door in her face, blocked all her friends as well when they texted me to tell me how much of a jerk I was for treating her that way. Laughed my ass off. Well, yeah, play stupid games, win fucking stupid prizes, so that's our fucking fault. That's why if you compliment a man, he'll remember it for years because that's the only compliment he got in years. Damn, when's the last fucking compliment I got? When's the last compliment I got from a fucking woman? Ooh, it has been a minute. Yeah, I mean, shit. True story. My wife had texted me that she was leaving me while I was at work. 10 minutes later, I bump into her coworker. What's up? Me. Wife filed for divorce. Pat on the shoulder from coworker. Life sucks. Coworker walks away. That is the deepest male-to-male interaction I have ever had. That's crazy. Women, hey, I didn't become a man to be oppressed. Help me. Man smirking and laughing. Man up. I'm fucking dead. We try to tell y'all, but we get dismissed as mansplaining. Women, turns into man. Women, wait, you guys get treated bad too? Men, hey, you're finally awake. Alright. I mean, yeah. I'm really curious to see what you guys' thoughts are on this whole situation, you know. I mean, truly, do you really believe women have harder lives, or is it obviously men that have harder lives? Just let me know down in the comments down below. And I'm signing off. Catch you guys on the next one.